Hello boys and girls, this is Miss Kristen here for another week of doing art. Today we are going to be carving a little soap turtle out of ivory soap, and this is one that I've done so far. He's not totally done, but just to give you an idea where we're going. From the library you can get a free piece of soap, ivory soap. I'm going to use a popsicle stick and a toothpick. I have it all laid out on a little sheet of paper because I will be making lots of soap shavings and I don't want to make a big mess. So step one, I want to get rid of the word ivory on here because we don't really need that. I'm going to go ahead and take my popsicle stick and just rub it sideways on top of the word ivory. Now this project is a little bit tougher, so I'm going to say if you are maybe third grade or younger, you're welcome to give this a try, but it's pretty tough. It's a lot of teeny tiny fine motor skills and a lot of patience. This is going to be a longer video, but even if it doesn't turn out quite how you want, or you're much younger and you're like, I want to try it anyway, go for it. Just the act of carving is really, really good for your brain, and it's really fun. I love it. So I've kind of gotten rid of the word ivory. Next, I'm going to take my toothpick and treat it a little bit like a pencil. I'm going to draw, by draw I mean just carve in, a curve for where the shell would be. I'm going to try to draw as big as I can because I want to use up all the space on the soap that I have. So I've curved the front, curved the back, and I'm just going to do lines here for where the head is going to be, where my legs are going to be, and the back where the legs are going to be, and the tail. So the thing with this kind of art is called subtractive sculpture because you're only taking away. You want to be very cautious about cutting up too much at any given time because once you cut it off, you can't really add it back on. Because it's a sculpture, we're not just going to pay attention to the top, we're going to pay attention to the bottom too. So this line I drew here for my head, I'm going to carry it on to the other side. Cross here, swing to the back, bring it in a little bit. My shell is going to go across this middle here. And going to curve back up just like I did on the other side. And around. Next thing. Whatever you do on one side, you're pretty much going to have to do on the other. Curve around. The back of the shell is a little pointier. Mating that. Okay. And the two legs following what happened. Might make these legs a little bigger. There we go. Alright, so now I have the basic shape carved out. I already got a lot of soap shavings, so I have my trash right on me so I can empty it as I need. The next part will be rounding. You can see that this is a rectangular prism, and we all know turtles are a little bit rounder. They don't have points on where their feet are. So I'm just taking this popsicle stick and I'm going to start carving away the round corners. Getting rid of those corners is important to make it realistic. And notice I'm not paying attention to just one side, I'm doing it on both sides, not going too hardcore, just enough to round it out for a start. We don't have to be perfect, especially at the beginning. Another thing you'll notice is that I'm not just using one hand, I'm using this hand to turn and move my turtle around. Sculpture is a two-hand, full-mind process. Most of the time you don't just need things to stay flat like you do when you're drawing. You're going to be trying to pay attention to all the sides. So that's what I'm doing. Next, now that I've rounded it a little bit, I'm going to try to make the head and the legs look like they're coming out of the shell. Now to do that, I'm going to carve down a little bit here and here to make the shell pop up. Okay. And gently with my little popsicle stick, at an angle. Let's see if you can see that. I'm just curving down towards where the shell is at, just a little bit. Make it look like it's coming out. Go. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And as you get closer where the head's at, you're going to want to use smaller tools because the tinier the detail, the smaller the tool you want to use. You can also use a pencil tip instead of a toothpick if you have one. Both of those things work really, really well. If you are going to get a toothpick, I'd recommend you grabbing a couple because they can break pretty easily as you're carving. So I'm just going to lower this leg a little bit and round it. See how I kind of rounded it away from the head to make them look separate. So I'm angling it down. Let me see if I can show you this way. Angling it down, keeping that head up high, carving down a little bit on our leg. Right. Same thing on the other side, but you can tell already the shell is looking more 3D and it looks like our legs and head are coming out of it. The whole point of this kind of carving. Definitely make your legs lower. See, I've already carved it down a little bit. The head is popping up. We want the head to be a big focal point or something that we pay attention. Okay. Now I've made quite a mess. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my soap shavings a little bit and get back to it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and angle on the back leg, making sure it looks like it's popping out of the back shell. Same thing, but I don't have to be as cautious because people don't tend to pay attention as much to the back leg as they do the front or the head. Just lowering, and as you're lowering, of course, you can still be rounding, getting rid of those flat edges. Okay, we'll start doing the same thing on this side. If at any point you think I'm going too fast or too slow, you can always fast forward. I'm going too slow for you, and you're like, okay, I got this. Or if I'm going too quickly, feel free to pause the video. That's one of the awesome things about these kinds of videos. Instead of being in person, you get to go at exactly your pace, and you get to switch up however you want. You don't have to do it just like me. I'm just here to get you started with some cool, creative ideas, and hopefully some fun art making. Alright, now the tail is going to be this teeny, teeny, tiny thing. Really just chopping it down pretty aggressively to make it smaller and lower than our shell. And once we have everything lowered, we can round our shell out of it because it's still very flat at the top. Half of the battle is just making things look round so we're flat. You can tell I messed up a little bit here because this foot is not bigger than this foot. And that's okay. I can't make this one bigger, so we'll just cut this one down a little bit. One of those things, as you go, you can kind of check on yourself for how even things are. You're like, oh no, I don't like how I did that. I can switch it up a little bit. Again, nothing's perfect, especially not art. Art is never perfect. But hopefully you can have a fun time and kind of be noticing things as you go and correct your mistakes if you feel like it. Sometimes mistakes are happy. Like maybe he only works out on one side of his legs. Other one's a little smaller than that, and that's fine too. After I'm carving, I'm going to clean out the shadings that I produce as I carve. So just again going over the same spot again and again. It's really just me carving out the little shadings, getting them out of the way so I can clearly see what I'm doing. Alright, now I'm down to it. Getting that tail look like a tail, not like a random square. That means I have to cut it down a lot. And your tail should look kind of like this, be a little bit of a triangle shape. So that's typically what turtles' tails look like. And give a little space between the tail and your legs, making sure that the legs puff out more. And yeah, it's starting to look a little bit like a turtle, don't you think? I think so. Most of the rest of the time is just me refining things now that we've got all the big basic shapes. So to me, the hardest part is over and the most confusing part is starting out and getting the big shapes down. With sculpture, you also want to remember to be turning in different directions to kind of see how it looks from different angles. Because you know at the bottom, we have our leg blending into our head. That doesn't look good. That's not right. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Pretty soon I need to actually tackle doing the head, which is the hardest part for me. Well, next to doing the basic shapes. The head of a turtle is really cute and important and a little bit tricky when it's this small. So to make the head stand out, I'm carving the legs down, making them a little bit smaller so the head looks bigger than what it actually is. Right. And this bottom part is going to be his neck. So I'm going to carve this down a little bit. Looks like his head is raised. Right now I'm very gently rounding out a little bit of the head so it doesn't look so rectangular. Come on, start trying to get this big thing clean off my silk babies that are everywhere. Alright, rounding that head more and more. Okay. Looking pretty good. I like it. Actually, it's starting to look even more like a cute turtle, not just a turtle, a cute one. Okay. Right, these back legs I'm pretty happy with. They're a little bit thick compared to the front ones. I had to cut them down, make the head look good. Just trying to even things up a little bit. And then I think the last little thing I'm gonna do is round out my shell and add those shell patterns. Now it's your turtle shell, so you can add whatever kind of pattern you want on them. And you can spend more time refining your turtle, but this video is almost 20 minutes long, and I feel like that's pretty long for anyone to watch a how-to video. These flattened out smaller. Right, now for the go. It's really this edge that's too flat, or it doesn't meet in the middle like regular turtles would. So I'm angling on the side here at the bottom and then at the top. Make it look a little bit more like a real shell. That edge point here. Again, we don't want anyone to know that this once was a giant rectangular prism. You're going to only see a turtle. Be like, whoa, you carved that? I'm so impressed. You can be like, yeah, lady from the library showed me how to do this. Right, angling here on this side, around the back a little bit, being a little gentler on the back because that is a smaller spot. You don't want to accidentally chop off anything. So if you get a little impatient, like I do sometimes, if you worked on something for a few minutes, take a break, walk away, come back to it. There's no big rush. Get this done. You work on your own time when you're in the mood. All right, so now that we have the top and the bottom of the shell kind of at an angle like that, we're going to go ahead, clean up our soap carvings, and add in the detail of the shell. Dun, 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 dun. Go ahead and clean that up. All right, now go ahead and carve. You're going to need your teeny tiny toothpick. And really, it's up to you what kind of pattern you want it. I'm going to try to go kind of traditional and just have kind of a rounded shape in the middle and branch off kind of like a soccer ball. Some shapes coming out from it. It's not quite a hexagon. It might look a little bit like a flower, in fact. Yeah. And if you're not really sure what kind of shapes you're going to do, you can go more light than I am. I'm just kind of digging in, just making the commitment. This is what my shape's going to be. All right. Going out. I'm leaving a little space because there's going to be some smaller shapes around the outside of our turtle shell. Okay. Here we go. And I'm going to make some lines for the outside shapes. A little line going around the whole outside of the shell. Oh, this is looking real good. I'm excited. All right. Alright, so now you want to go back and add eyes. You want to keep refining your details, you can, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. I might add eyes and some other things, but I think y'all got the gist of how to do a silk carved turtle. Thank you so much for watching and staying in there and taking your time with your awesome art. Don't forget to be awesome, and goodbye.